What's up? This is the Violent Casket, home to the lamest taste. You check me out on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. All one word. We subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the bell for much, much more. And do me a massive favor and get involved, guys. I have been trying the last couple weeks to put out as much content as I can, whether it be trailer reactions, comic reviews, movie reviews, TV show reviews. I've been streaming on Twitch a little bit, figured out how to get a setup going to stream some gameplay. So please follow, subscribe, whatever you can do to support the channel. I really appreciate it. Get involved, leave a comment, drop a like. I will answer every comment I see. With that being said, guys, this is a Casket book review, and this is the next step into the Cosmere, which I finally finished. Warbreaker by Sanderson. This is the UK printing. This book was originally published June 9th, 2009. And while I personally believe the beginning of this book was a little slow, I feel like it's planned. It makes sense. This is going to be this review is going to be full of spoilers, so if you haven't read the book or you don't care, continue. If you have, maybe you should dip out. But I love this book. I thought it was very, very good from about a quarter of the way in. I feel like the first quarter of the book is very heavy world building, very heavy character development. There is no references really to anything else that I've seen in the Cosmere at this point. The magic system takes a little while to fully wrap your head around, and it takes a while to really show, because you have a lot of characters that play in this book, and some of them get developed very slowly while you're really focusing on the point of view of three people. Four? Yeah, like four people. So you're following these two sisters separately, as well as two gods, I guess. So Ciri, Viviana, Vasher, and Lightsong are like the points of views that you are following, and they all develop. I feel like the girls are like a lot of like the point of views on them, and they develop the most and the fastest. And the other two, Lightsong is basically the same until like way past the halfway point of the book, where he's no longer being lazy. Now he's just questioning everything, and he's like, you see the changes as he figures things out affect him in a very critical way. Vasher, you just don't know anything, and there's like large portions of the book that you just don't see him, or you don't have a point of view from him for like a very long time. So he obviously has the slowest progression in character development, but I feel like he has the most traumatic, the most substantial character development at the end of this book, when you find out who he is and like what, how important he is to the concept of as a whole. That's like a spoiler. I won't give away like his background, but once you piece together, and they allow you, it's written in a way where they don't tell you until literally, I don't know, the last chapter, the prologue or second to last chapter, tell you exactly who he is. They make you piece together and figure it out. Like there's events unfolding where you're like, wait a minute, this guy must be this, or based off of like things that are happening as you read, and you piece the stuff that happens in the past together. I had a bunch of life stuff come up where like I just couldn't read. I read on my way to and from work on the train, and there was like a month period where I wasn't taking the train because I was driving to work. That really, I was like, it took me like a week to really get into this, and then I started to fly, hit that like month period where I didn't have time to read because I would come home, and that's usually when I read my comics on my tablet. So this suffered and got a huge delay because of that. And then there was a portion where it was a week where like I didn't really work, so I just didn't read, which I really shouldn't have done. But finally I am done. You can see that I destroyed this book and I loved it. I really, really, truly did. So basically my favorite character in this book has to be, we don't even get a point of view of him, but we get to see him develop, and he doesn't even speak until the end of the book. And I think it's pronounced how do you pronounce his name? Sussaborn? All right. Well, basically we're in this world. I don't know if it's a whole planet, but we're in this big country which 300 years ago there was a huge war and the country was divided in half. And like the royalty of the nation left the capital and went to the like this mountainous region and just separated. And tensions are very high right now between them. And there was this contract that was formed, whatever. And the king was supposed to give one of his daughters royal blood to marry the God King. To form this alliance and maintain peace. I don't know. We don't really learn like the details of that contract, which is really annoying. But basically, last minute he changes it up. Instead of sending his oldest daughter that has been preparing her whole life for this, he sends his youngest daughter that has zero preparation, has not cared, and has not been paying attention her whole life. I believe she's like 19. So like, or 17, like between 17 and 19. And she goes and she's forced to marry this God King. And this is, the whole point of this is that this is a world where people die and like, if they die in a certain way, they come back to life with, everyone has breath. Like the source of light, your soul is considered breath. Everyone has one breath, but the people that are returned, their breath is of higher quality, and there's different heightenings based on how many breaths you have. But when you're returned, your breath becomes the quality to just jump you to the 5th heightening. And people can give their breaths to you as a donation, like basically. And that's how some people that aren't gods, aren't returned, become awakeners, because they take people's breath in large amounts. Usually like, someone will gain a large amount of breath and it's forced to give it to someone else through, torture or whatever. And that's how like it transcends, and people fight over the amounts of breaths, and there's different heightenings based off how many breaths you have. And you can awaken, you can give your breath to items like ropes and, clothing and stuff like that. And you can make them do stuff. Like, and then you can take the breath back. You can also animate dead bodies and stuff like that. Turn things into things called lifeless, which are basically just animated corpses that do stuff. And like there's all these different like ramifications of this society built on supporting these returned gods. So you have all these different gods, and they all have palaces, and they all have their own devoted priests and followings to them, and they can give their life to heal one person and then they pass away. So there's like a whole religion about each god, about that whole point of view. And then there's this God King, and you find out that the God King can't talk after a while of his relationship building with Ciri. And the other sister, the older sister, comes into the city to try to rescue her because she thinks it's wrong that her dad sent him. We never hear from the dad again after like very early in the book. We never see the brother or the other sister who is a monk. Never see the rest of the family. They never show up again. I thought that was really redundant. And yeah, I really like it how Viviana meets up with one of her dad's agents who dies, gives her all these breaths, and now she's forced to be a reckoner. And the people the royalty that left and separated, their whole religion is so against the whole awakening and breaths thing. So she's forced to like face this whole reality and really interesting like internal conflict going on while she's trying to save her sister, and their two stories play out really well. I really liked Light Song, like basically realizing that they're gods but they don't matter, and then you find out this whole plot inside everything was a third nation that was kind of destroyed in the Many War and forced to submit as servants, like turning everyone against each other so that they could weaken everybody and then take control. That shit was wild. And yeah, I feel like I'm spoiling a lot of this book without talking about any of it. And I really just liked Susseborn as a character. I really liked Ciri at the end. I really liked Viviana. I liked all the characters. I feel like Vasher, though, was the coolest. And I'm shocked there's no sequel to this. I really am shocked there's no Warbreaker 2, because the way they end the epilogue basically sets up a next story. Basically sets up a whole other story adventure with Viviana and Vasher going after this other original person from 300 years ago that has been figuring something out that could build an army to bring back, I don't know, crazy stuff. Like, I'm so confused and I'm so excited to see this. I know that Brandon Sanderson's very heavily involved right now with the next section of Mistborn, but I really hope another Warbreaker comes out. I really like this book. I really love the characters. I don't want to talk about Vasher too much because I don't want to ruin it in this review. If you guys want an in-depth talk about the individual characters, I'll do that. But I feel like that's point of the thing. Like, I don't want like anyone like who hasn't read this. It's like, oh yeah, spoilers don't matter. I don't want to spoil Vasher. I didn't care about Vasher until the end of this book, and now I can realize the whole book had to do with him, and it's crazy. I gave this a 4.7 out of 5, only because of how slow it is in the beginning and how kind of off-putting, and how the magic system really takes a long time to figure out and understand, and you don't really get to see it fully used until after halfway in the book. So like, I feel like that's like a rarity for the Cosmere, to see something take forever and not get like a good payback until halfway. So awesome book. I loved it. Came out in 2009. I still think everything he writes like withstands the test of time. This was Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I highly recommend it. 4.7 out of 5. With that being said, guys, check out the playlist for all the other book reviews I've done. The more recent ones are all Sanderson books. Next up, I'm probably going to read some of the stories in Arcanium Unbounded, but I'm definitely tomorrow going to start reading Way of Kings. I'm super excited to check this out. I can't wait. There's going to be it doesn't look that big. Like, comparative wise, I feel like you wouldn't be able to tell how big this book is, but this book is tremendous. With that being said, guys, this is the Violent Casket. Home to Lame is Tasty. Check me out on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok, where you subscribe, like, and comment, hit the bell for much, much more, and do me a massive favor and stay lame.